Okay, and welcome, my friends, to the show that never ends. And here we are again. It's a Sunday evening. This will be going out on Monday, on the Monday night football show with the Chairboys. Meet the Chairboys. We've had a great week again as the Chairboys. We're sitting there nicely just behind the leaders there in Division 1, ready to pounce at the first possible chance. And we'll be going straight up, won't we? Right, we've got a few things to discuss. I did mention last week about the whole thing about identity and who you are as a football club. Well, Newcastle have been discovering who they actually are this week, and so we are going to talk about that. I want to explain exactly what's happened and why it's happened and things for Newcastle to be a little bit worried about, etc. And of course, we've got Kieran doing the quiz. We are going to discuss the Wycombe game and Newcastle, as I said, but we're also going to just start with, yes, you can say hello, Kieran.
Hi.
There we go. Right, that's your bit. Right, you bog off now. Right,
yeah, gladly.
Football on this day. Well, it wasn't actually on this day. It was 2 days ago. Well, I suppose it depends when you listen to it. The 9th of October. Okay, this is not a lot happened at any other time. And we'll go back to 1961, Gillingham, as that was relevant because, of course, that's who we beat on Saturday. Gillingham suffered a nightmare journey to Barrow on 9th of October 1961 for a 4th Division match. They arrived so late that the match had to be abandoned. Barrow were given the points for winning 7-0. They had a broken down bus. They missed their train. There was a chartered plane and a car crash, which really didn't help either. And they just didn't get to the match early enough before it got too dark. And that's because, of course, in those days, there were no floodlights. So that was a bit of a disaster there for Gillingham. Aston Villa on the 9th of October 76, Aston Villa's attempt to fill what would have been a blank international weekend, for the club with a prestigious friendly backfired just a little bit. The friendly, if you can have one, was against a Scottish team called Rangers, and we'll be coming to Steven Gerrard maybe a bit later. Scots fans, many the worse for drink, surely not, descended on Birmingham, causing problems in the city centre even before they arrived at Villa Park. At the ground, missiles were thrown onto the pitch. There were pitch invasions and battles with the police, which left over 100 spectators injured, including stabbings, and a similar number arrested. With Villa leading 2-0, the match was abandoned in the 53rd minute, and Rangers found it just a tad more difficult to play friendlies south of the border after that one. Of course, we remember these games in the 70s, England-Scotland matches. Football on this day, 9th of October 96. This is the last one. Probably the most bizarre abandoned international. Again, was a Scotland. I'm mentioning Scotland because they did all right, actually. They won their game, which is a bit of a shock. Yeah. Abandoned international was a Scotland World Cup qualifier. They were due to play Estonia in an evening kickoff in Tallinn. But after Scotland objected to the temporary floodlights as not being up to standard, FIFA brought forward the match to an afternoon kickoff. Estonia were not too chuffed at that, and when Scotland kicked off at the appointed time, they were the only side on the pitch. To the chants from the 1,000 or so present, one team in Tallinn, there's only one team in Tallinn, the referee abandoned the game after just 3 seconds. The match was ordered to be replayed at a neutral venue in Monaco. So there we've got a few interesting abandoned games, all linked with what's been going on this weekend. Anything caught your eye in the news this weekend, Kieran?
this weekend.
Yeah.
Uh,
Did England play at all?
They did.
Did they? Right.
Do we get to talk about how we beat Andorra?
Well, we can do for a few seconds now, if you like.
England beat Andorra 5-0. Everyone expects it, and did anyone particularly care? Not particularly.
Did you watch it?
On.
Did you watch it? No, nor did I. No. For a football lover, I could be bothered. I went and saw the James Bond film.
The only half interesting thing was that the stadium was on fire the day before.
Oh, right.
But
it probably wasn't during the game, though, was it?
Not particularly. It looked like there was more England fans there than there was Andorra fans, because we had like 3 of the ends, I think, which didn't make any sense.
Well, that's because there aren't many people live in Andorra that could go, are there? I mean, if you look at it,
they're all playing, weren't they?
There's less people who actually live in Andorra or are Andorian. That's probably right. Than there are that can fit into Wembley. So they couldn't fill Wembley Stadium if everybody went from 0 to 95. So if you
is Andorra that small?
Yeah, it's smaller than Wycombe.
Oh, I didn't realise it, because they normally do okay to Andorra for some random reason. No, they're 78k.
Yeah.
So they don't have any.
No. I think Wycombe's, is it 90? Wycombe, I think 90.
Ours is quite high now, Wycombe. I was just San Marino have half, hence why they do a bit worse.
Yeah. So, I mean, working on that theory, you wonder how many actually come into that bracket of sort of 18 to 30.
Male 18 to 30, football, can play football, actually decent at football.
Well, let's say there's 80,000, split it in half, male and female, that's 40. You're splitting into a group of 12, and you'd probably find say 6. So you've then got to split 40 into 6 to find that age range.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're down, I'm just taking woggers. So there's 8,000 men between that age. Okay. And now you've got to find some that can play football.
Which there aren't many.
Of an international level.
It's like having a university team, essentially, isn't it?
Yes.
Essentially.
And England won. Well, wow. Surprise. Yeah.
Well done, the lads.
Okay, let's get on to Kieran's quiz time. Quiz time.
Well, you've had the zin a little bit, haven't you?
Yeah, I'll just sort of add that little bit in. Okay, I'm going to make it nice and easy for you this week. We're going to have 5 questions on Klopp, and we'll have 5 on the Premier League. We'll start with the Premier League, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Which former Arsenal player admitted he was responsible for throwing a slice of pizza which hit Sir Alex Ferguson in the face? This happened in the tunnel after United had ended Arsenal's long unbeaten run in October 2004.
I've always been a bit sus of this situation as to whether it actually happens, but I believe it was supposedly Fabregas.
You're correct. Yes, Fabregas. Yes. Okay. Question 2. Which player received a 9-month ban from football after doing this one's easy, doing a flying kick at a fan in the crowd?
Cantona.
Yes. And how many matches was Luis Suarez banned for when he bit?
Ooh, Branislav Ivanovic.
I'm glad you said that and not me. On the arm. Yeah. Was he on the arm? I always thought he was on the neck. There you go.
No, that was in the World Cup when he did on the neck.
Oh, right. It's trying to.
It was more of the shoulder, but
yeah. How many games was he banned for?
Well, I'm very sure that when he was racist, it was 9, and it can't be more than being racist, surely.
Oh,
I'm going to say 8.
No, it's more than being racist. Hey, Black Lives Matter, Kieran. 10. He got 10.
How do you get 9 for being racist and 10 for biting someone? That makes no sense.
Football, mate. Roy Keane did a knee-high foul on a Manchester City player and received a red card for this incident in a 2001 Manchester derby. Can you name the player he fouled? Admittedly, you weren't watching it.
Wait, repeat the question again. Sorry.
What?
Repeat the question again. Sorry.
Roy Keane did a knee-high foul on a Manchester City player and received a red card in 2001. Can you name the player he fouled?
I think was it Haaland's dad?
You're correct. How the flip did you know that?
Because he said it recently in an interview. It was something like, "Oh, it'd be awkward if Erling Haaland came back to the Premier League and I had to interview him or something."
Right. I mean, that was the year Kieran was born, by the way, everybody. So he wouldn't have been watching it. Blimey. Right. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And which player scored from his own half on the opening day of the 96-97 season? Beckham, yes.
Beckham.
Very good. So you are
much better than last week.
Working on the theory, this is all sort of, some of this before you're born and all that sort of stuff. It's pretty amazing because you obviously sit and watch YouTube videos too often.
Yeah, I do. But it was awful last week because it was stupid questions like who was the only player from Moldova to win the Premier League or something. I had silly questions like that last week.
Right, yeah, sorry about that. Well, I've actually taken a bit more time and looked at the questions this time.
Thank you.
Rather than just reading out that chapter.
Yeah, but then you can't give me ones that I'm evidently going to know.
No.
But I shouldn't have got the Haaland one.
I picked topics.
Yeah.
Rather than. Okay, so where now you're 5 on Klopp. Where this is easy. I always think if I can answer them, they must be easy. Where was Klopp born? France, Germany, or Italy?
Oh, flipping heck, Germany.
What is Jurgen Klopp's middle name? Clipperty,
Norbert.
Manfred, or Norbert?
Norbert.
Norbert.
Yeah.
Am I going to bother looking at the answers, or are you telling me these are true?
You go for it without the answers first, and then I'll see if I need them.
Okay. What position did he play? Left back, right back, or right winger?
That's interesting, because I thought he was a centre back. Right back then?
And what
was I right?
Oh, you want to know? Yeah, you're right with all 3.
Oh no, I mean don't give me the multiple choice answers. Just give me the.
Oh, okay.
And then I'll try and get it off my own back. I would have got that one wrong though, to be fair.
Okay, well the next one is easy as well, I think. Well, you should know all these. What club did he manage before Liverpool?
Dortmund.
And when did he become Liverpool manager?
2015.
You're right on those as well. So we'll come back to the other 5 Klopp ones next week, because it gives you a chance of getting them all right. So how many? You only got 1 wrong out of 10 questions.
I didn't get any wrong.
Nah, you did. Yeah, you got 1 wrong in the first.
I don't think I did, mate.
You did.
Did I? Watch it back and we'll see.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure. Which former Arsenal player admitted? Yeah, you got that. Which player received 9? It was the 9-month or 8-month ban.
Oh, I got the Suarez ban wrong, didn't I?
It was the ban.
Yeah, I got the ban wrong.
Yeah, I thought you got 1 wrong. Yeah. Not very good, really. Right.
Sorry,
yeah. Okay. Next, managers. How many have we lost so far? 6 now. There's been 6 managers gone. We've lost. I don't know whether we count 6. Actually, it might really be only 5, but because we've lost Phil Brown the second time he's been kicked out of Southend. His win rate. He was only there for 16 games this time. I mean, you'd think they'd know what they were getting the second time, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But his win rate was 25%, and he's 21st in the conference.
Fair enough. Southampton's in the conference now. That's really poor.
I know. When you think that they beat us in the final to get promoted, and we were left
League
behind,
One,
it soon changes, doesn't it?
It was Phil Brown in charge then as well.
Yeah. And then he got kicked out after that, and then they brought him back in, and they've just kicked him out yet again. Chris Beach, his name is. This next one is Carlisle manager. He actually lasted for quite a few games because he was around for 684 days. So 2 years.
It's not bad.
So, but they're 22nd in Division 2. So they're not doing very well either. No. I can't remember what his win rate. I think it was 30-something%. So, whatever. But
the thing is, it's weird, isn't it? Because 30 to 40% is actually not bad.
That's right.
It sounds bad, but it's actually not.
It's average, isn't it? Isn't that mid-table average for any club?
Well, if you go off the fact that it's basically win one, draw one, lose one, isn't it?
Yeah, which is what the average, isn't it?
Yeah, it's average.
So if it's 30 to 40%, stay with it.
Yeah. If it drops down to the 20s, then probably fair enough.
Okay. Well, did you watch any of the highlights? Because we're just about to. I've managed to download the highlights again. I'm not sure I'll be allowed to do this again. There was a bit of a squeaky thing on it for downloading things.
What do you put the Wycombe highlights in this?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But it's managed to do it again this time. So I'll stick it in there this time, and we'll see whether it allows it to broadcast. It wouldn't allow Liverpool last week.
No.
I got a naughty slap on the wrist for that one. But we shall put the Wycombe ones up right now. Okay, there we go. Did you look at the highlights, Kieran? Obviously not ones I've just put up because I haven't yet for you.
Well, I looked at the highlights that were put up last night, yeah.
Yeah. Well, interesting game in the fact that it wasn't at all interesting. I much preferred the week before.
It didn't look it.
It looked boring, did it? It was
boring. Well, it looked like the chances they were showing were just like ones that was happen every 5 or 10 minutes. It would be the only bit of excitement within those 5 or 10 minutes.
Well, the trouble was that Wycombe finished the game off in 7 minutes. So 2-0 up after 7 minutes. And you'd think, well, is that it then? But Wycombe came back from a 2-0 down. But Gillingham didn't have it in them.
You almost needed that penalty to go in, didn't you?
It wasn't a penalty, can I say, that Gillingham's penalty they were given in the first half wasn't a penalty. You could see at the time it was outside the box and it was a free kick. And I was fairly sure. And then when you watch the video, if you press pause just as it happens, you'll actually see it's definitely not in the box. It might be on the line or outside, but it definitely is not in that box. So, but yeah, it would have been a more interesting game had they scored the penalty. But they were shocking. I don't know how a better way of wording it, really. They were. I mean, I was stood there, and I can safely say I was leant my back to the wall, bored. And we all go home happy, do we? Wycombe have banned their musicians. I say musicians from the ground because they seem to suggest there's a little problem with being not nice.
Well, I know you're not on it, but on the Wycombe Wanderers Facebook fan group,
yes,
the only thing that is ever talked about is the drummer and whether it annoys people or if it doesn't annoy people.
Okay.
It's about probably about 50-50, but then you get the impression that the people who like it are saying that because they feel bad for him because of all the people who don't like it.
I don't mind him. I don't mind him. As I have to stand next to him. And there's nothing wrong with banging a drum and getting people singing, but I don't think it was that. There seems a little bit of a crowd behind that goal that seem to think we're a big club and you have to behave like a hooligan because they've seen it on TV.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to be nasty.
The thing that probably doesn't help the drummer's cause is that he then didn't actually go to the match. He just banged his drum on the hill.
Yeah, and I don't understand that.
It's like
he goes to away games.
Yeah, it's like you're trying to prove a point without actually watching your team. Because the primary purpose, surely, is to go and watch Wycombe play football. That's what the enjoyment is supposed to be. And so if he had just done that, then I think people would have respected it a bit more, but he didn't. So
I don't know what they did kick 3 people out the previous week, and I don't know what for. I mean, I'm stood there in the terrace. Admittedly, I don't stand in the middle behind the goal. I stand at the top in a corner so I can see across the pitch and get a better angle of everything. So I don't know what they did. I can only presume. I mean, what could they do behind there? I don't know.
Maybe just shout abusive language. Maybe
to get kicked out for swearing at football.
No.
So what?
But it depends. It depends if it was.
Else.
Well, was it not in relation to the drummer? So if they were shouting abusive language at the drummer, then that's probably fair enough. If they were going too far with it. But then I asked, well, can get your point of view as well, but I asked Josh, who was there, and Josh said that the atmosphere was as good as it normally is. What did you think? Did you notice it wasn't there?
It wasn't as the week before.
No.
But that's because the game wasn't exactly exciting either.
No.
But yeah, I'd say it was as per normal in a very dull game. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was dull. The game was dull. Wycombe had it wrapped up, and you knew if Gillingham wanted to score a goal and managed it, Wycombe would just go up the other end and do the same. That Wycombe had got the skills. I can't think of a position on that pitch that Wycombe weren't in charge of. There was somebody else's write-up on YouTube by a Gillingham fan, and there was a Wycombe fan who made a comment about thought you deserved to win, and underneath the person that had done the comments, the actual YouTube channel, had written, "I presume you are joking, aren't you?" And that had got lots of ticks. So any Gillingham fan that was there could tell 100% who was in charge of that game. It's worth looking at the statistics. I know everybody hates this, and this is going to come up in a minute. And that is why statistics, again, if I were to give you this, who knows who dominated that game? Ball possession 50-50. Total shots, one team 16, one 14. Chances created 10-9. Big chances 2-1. Accurate passes 155, 174. Pass success 58, 65%. Fouls conceded 15, 14. Corners 5-3. Offsides 2-0. Total shots 16-14. And if you start breaking that all down to touches, 454 to 455. Long balls 67, 68. I mean, it's virtually identical. Opposition half touches 114, 118. It was exactly the same football. Okay.
Did they just lack a bit of quality then?
Here's the big difference. Okay. Dribbles succeeded. Players who ran with the ball was Wycombe 5. They didn't.
So no tried to play around us.
And the other one was aerial duels 1. Was Wycombe 40, them 30. And they came on with the big guys up front to win the headers, and they didn't. Okay, and there's your difference. But I think it's interesting looking at that, because what does it tell you? Having the ball makes you a better team? Does it tell you that accurate passes makes you a better team? Etc. And that's what we're going to come on to now. So, are you ready? Now, you to butt in. Okay. These are more like just comments, and you can just butt in. This is really about identity, about the whole thing behind the goal, about who Wycombe are, who are Newcastle, who are Liverpool, who are Brighton. It's about the style of football teams and the beautiful game. Okay. So, is it the style of play? I mean, how many styles of play actually are there? Because when Van Dijk plays a long ball and Liverpool score, or England goalkeeper throws the ball out to Grealish at the front and he scores, are we a long ball rubbish football team? No. So are there different styles of play? And is it so wrong to have a strong defence? Because that's often a thing people point at and say, oh, defensive. But isn't the idea not to let goals in? So, and what is plan B that everybody always talks about? You need a plan B. What is
it? Isn't the idea of like a long ball team, the long ball isn't a diagonal like Van Dijk will play. The long ball teams are the ones who literally punt it into the box and see if it drops for them. If Van Dijk pings it to Salah on the right wing, it's not actually in the box yet. I think that's kind of what the long ball teams kind of are. They just pick it into the box where the strikers and the midfielders are. There's no real play in and around the box.
Do Liverpool have a plan B?
No.
Burnley a long ball team?
No.
Are Wycombe?
No.
Who are?
I don't think anyone really is a long ball team, particularly. I think long ball teams are a thing of the past now, I think. Because Burnley, even if they do ping a lot of long balls, they do it in and around the box, not literally into the box. They still try and give it to their midfielders to try and give it out to the wings. I think they do it more and more now, Burnley, and I think Wycombe do now as well. But in saying that, our first goal doesn't really show that because we did just hoof it up and we got a flick on and we scored. I think
so
long
did
balls.
England.
Yeah,
but
the opportunity was there to do that, though.
Right. So in that case, they pick an opportunity, whereas what you're talking about is where you just keep having a go at it, have the big guy up front and just keep battling. Does that win games still?
If you're bigger and stronger than they are, then I'd imagine it could. I don't see why not. If Chelsea, all they did was ping it long to Lukaku, I don't think they would do too badly because he is bigger and stronger than everyone else. But that's not the most effective way of playing.
You see, watching Wycombe play Gillingham, I mean, people have said about Wycombe being a long ball team and all this sort of stuff. But Hanlon got, I think it was an 8.9% for his game. He was brilliant. He turned them inside out. Any of their defenders got close, he was past, no problem. Then you got McCleary, get past them. I mean, Wycombe had the better players across that pitch, the better footballers, and we scored. But a team has the ball for 72% of the game by passing it around, but lose 1-0. And in the interview afterwards, let's drop him in there, the Oxford manager says, that was proper football we played. We deserved to win.
Not necessarily, is it? You may feel disappointed that you didn't win because you felt like you have better quality in your team. But at the end of the day, your quality was used to less effect.
Because the interesting thing is, Wycombe's games that they tend to lose are the ones where they have the ball the most.
Yeah. Like we never normally have 50%, do we?
No. That's why we only scored 2, not 4, yeah.
Yeah. Our greatest quality isn't by playing around with the ball. It's by being efficient and effective with it, by playing as quickly as possible up top.
Does possession indicate quality of football? Or is it just the style of football?
I think it's partly style and partly quality. You have to have some quality to be able to keep the ball for that length of time. Like Liverpool's and Man City's quality to be able to just keep the ball for endless periods of time. But then so do, I'm trying to think of an example. Maybe Arsenal might keep the ball for very long periods of time, but they don't do anything with it.
When Leicester won the league, they averaged 43% possession per game.
Yeah.
And if you put the teams in the league in their position based on possession, it would almost turn the league. It would just scatter. It'd be like taking names out of hat to put them in order. It showed it had nothing to do with the top six, the bottoms. Well, actually, that's not entirely true. It had nothing to do with the top six. So almost forget the bottom six. The rest of it could be in any order. But I did notice that the bottom six all hardly touched the ball. So Leicester didn't and won, but the bottom six didn't and they went down. So there is a skill to playing without the ball. It can mean you're not very good, but it can mean you have a style of football and are very good. So what I want to know is, does the style of your football give you an identity? So, and do fans care about that identity or the style and the winning? So what I'm talking about is, what is Wycombe's identity? Do Wycombe have an identity?
Yeah. Not being as good in terms of quality on the ball as the opposition, but through, this sounds wet, teamwork, hard work and determination, we end up beating teams because we want it more. And
we win the 50% balls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also tend to be quite efficient with our shots.
And that's what Wycombe stands for. Is that Gareth Ainsworth or is that Wycombe?
Can't really remember. He's pretty much been the manager my whole life, hasn't he?
You see, I remember being in the conference and the league before that, where Wycombe were the rich team. The Wycombe were the ones that had professional footballers when the others didn't. And we were dominant.
Are you going to move on to the point in which Newcastle might lose their identity?
Yes.
Yeah.
You see, the reason I'm saying, do people just worry about winning and then back up what they enjoy? You see, because all the Sunderland fans and everybody else that came to Wycombe a couple of years ago, they all had a go at Wycombe for wasting time and not being very good, and you didn't deserve to win, you hardly touched the ball, we're a better football team, blah, blah, blah. And we loved it. The truth is, all the singing about we're great time wasters, we're the best time wasters, and we like to watch Wycombe waste time because we think it's funny. Okay? But is it not that we cling? So if Wycombe were then to change manager and we turn into Russell Martin, MK Dons previously and now at Swansea, who play the ball round the back to the goalkeeper and up the sides and through the middle and just tap, 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 tap till eventually it might go in, that's his style. Okay, that is Russell Martin's style. If Gareth Ainsworth were to leave, Russell Martin turns up and we win, would we be happy?
Yeah. I think we would. It's like if Mourinho was successful at Man United, they would have kept him. But because his football was, one, boring, and two, not successful, they didn't keep him. If he was successful, then they wouldn't have minded it.
So we're happy with winning, even if it's boring.
You can make winning fun, even if supposedly it's not the most fun way of playing football.
But do you have to win? Because
yes.
Wycombe in the Championship, it was fun, and we got relegated. But we kept our identity.
I think it's because we had different kind of goals. We weren't expected to stay up at all. And it was, uncharted territory for us. So we were going to find it fun playing these teams regardless. And even, being in the games until the last minute against some of those teams was successful, really. Like the fact we lost to like Norwich 1-0 maybe was quite good, really, even though Norwich are crap. But that was quite good. And so we had different expectations.
3-0, yeah.
Yeah. Like days like that, it's just like, wow. And we did keep our identity through that. You're right.
Yeah, because they just kept talking about us on TV as well.
Yeah.
Even though we were coming bottom, they still said how brilliant we were, which was really strange. So the question is, winning is important, yes?
Yeah.
Above everything?
Yeah.
What about quality? Does
that come below?
That's below.
Yeah. Because trying to think. Yeah. I'm not sure Newcastle fans would complain if they were winning the whole time.
Okay. Because you see, Manchester City games always strike me as boring. 1-0 wins by them.
But I'm sure Man City fans are quite happy, yeah.
Yeah. So, sort of going one step further along this line of identity and who we are, and I'm proud to be a Wycombe fan. I'll wear my Wycombe shirt everywhere. I want to wear my Wycombe shirt in Portsmouth and stick 2 fingers up at them. Love it. I love walking out of the ground after we've beaten somebody and bumping into some of their fans just to have a smirk on my face, yeah? And then me and Paul and you talk about, well, what did you think of the game? It's like we're real decent pundits or something, and come across as sort of all that nice. Yes, well, I thought it was a pretty good game. And really, we hate them when we're behind that goal. We hate them. You fall, yeah, he slipped over. Yeah, clap, clap, clap. What a laugh. Love and peace are not 2 words I associate with football. Okay, it's more like tension and ill temper, maybe, of what you feel behind the goal. Yeah, I mean, one player slips and everybody laughs and claps. You come up with these funny songs, and daft songs, like I said about we're the good time wasters. There was the song at Oxford about, you'll never know what it's like to go up and that sort of thing, and I bet you there's songs about Newcastle about never winning anything. Now, if I love football, shouldn't I also love Manchester City? But I can't stand Manchester City.
No.
But I love football.
Yeah. No. That's like saying you'd like Germany. You don't like Germany, particularly. They play good football.
Isn't it? Is this sort of the animal in us? Wycombe's ground is our fortress. It's our home. It's our town. We wear a uniform, wearing a football top. We parade onto the pitch at the beginning with the flags flying. We all stand together, willing things, and it's an army. The Blue Army. Yeah, and
isn't it as much as we can be humble about things, we as humans in general get this kind of like positive feeling from beating someone, or being better at something than someone. We get a good feeling about it.
When the World Cup went to America back in '94, Johan Cruyff wrote a load of stuff up in the newspaper saying it's the worst thing that can happen. It shouldn't go to America. And he said, because they don't understand European football. They don't understand. They think it's for the public. you go and have a hot dog and have a day out and eat some popcorn and have a laugh and a chill and enjoy the game. Whereas in Europe, he said, you don't eat popcorn and hot dogs because your stomach's churning inside for the score. You couldn't eat even if you wanted to. And of course, it's all tight on tension. And of course, he doesn't literally mean you couldn't eat. But what he's saying is it's not a show. Football in Europe, what we go to on Saturday is not a show, is it? It's
something you're deeply emotionally connected to.
It's us and them. Because even Pep Guardiola didn't get the throwing of stones at the City bus. What was that, against Liverpool or United? I can't remember.
Liverpool.
He didn't understand that, and that baffles me. Because I don't agree with it. Of course I don't, but I do understand it. And also Rio Ferdinand moving from Leeds to Manchester United, and up come the banners, traitor. It's that, if you took that out of football, and that's what worries me about the old Mr. Drummer behind the goal and all that. If you take that out of football and end up with the American popcorn idea, it'll kill the game, won't it?
Does it almost kind of represent like not necessarily the owner, but like they want people just to stand there and watch it and have a good time eating their popcorn, like it's a cinema.
I hate it when Wycombe lose. I haven't enjoyed my day. No,
because you're deeply emotionally connected to it.
You don't just say, "Oh well, not to worry, got another game next week."
Yeah, it's a massive deal if you win anything. Even one game.
Yeah, it doesn't matter whether it's in the middle of the table or not, does it?
No. I remember it's like the season where we had about 6 4-3s at home. We still came about 10th, but we flipping loved it. That's one of my best seasons as a Wycombe fan.
Yeah, it was winning individual matches.
Yeah.
See, we'll get to Newcastle shortly. Newcastle hate Aston Villa. Do you know why? Well, you won't know why. In 2009, Newcastle were relegated, and Aston Villa fans took a few banners along, and one of them was brilliant. It said, "Sob on the Tyne." Okay. And there was one other that said, "Who's your next Messiah, Ant or Deck?" Okay. And those two posters up were enough that if you were to ask a Newcastle fan today, what do they think of Aston Villa? They hate them. But most of them won't know why, but that's where it started from.
Well, I mean, you had to teach me why we hated Colchester.
Exactly. And the sense of humour in football, like taking the mickey, like taking the piss out of everybody else, making them suffer on the jokes. And that's the other part Americans don't get, of course. But what if you take that out of it? The humour, the nastiness, the hate, the rivalry, the identity, and you take away the fans. What are you left with? We know that from last year. You're left with teams winning away matches.
Lots of them.
And that must mean something. The crowds matter in football.
Well, Wycombe fans, we know that better than anyone, don't we?
And it's why. So, does watching football on TV, what does that do?
Bring in money. That's about it. In terms of the effect on the game.
Because, see, without the crowd, without being in the crowd, I think people miss that. I think anybody that watches football on TV and never goes to a game doesn't get all of this.
Maybe I'm a bit of an odd one out, but I haven't been to a Liverpool game in 7 years, and yet I'm almost well, probably as attached to Liverpool as I am to Wycombe in terms of emotions when we win, lose, or draw. Maybe I'm an odd one out.
Name me a club that you think has a really big identity.
Do you have a list?
I've written 6 names down myself.
There's one I'm trying to think of in the Premier League. Wolves? Maybe?
What would you say that is?
Kind of like high press Portuguese. I don't know.
You see, the ones I've written down, Millwall.
Yeah.
You know what you're getting.
Yeah.
Liverpool.
Yeah.
Man City have an identity now.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know what that identity is for me? Is wet supporters and the best players.
You're not far off, I don't think.
Okay. With Liverpool, it's the best supporters with almost the best players. So for Liverpool to match City, they need the fans. And Manchester City don't have the crowd fans.
No.
But Liverpool rely on that for the 12th man. Millwall, they mean something.
Yeah.
They mean something because of their old reputation. And being a Millwall fan today would mean it. Burnley means something. Oxford means something to me, and Wycombe means something to me.
I was say Arsenal as well, because we've spoken many times about how the players at Arsenal aren't Arsenal players.
Yeah,
and that must mean something in terms of identity.
Yeah, but I'm proud of Wycombe. I'm proud of my football team. I'm proud of my football club, and that's because it does have an identity, and it's a good one. We do have American owners, and they do seem rather happy to make things pleasant outside with the popcorn, but they're not going to take the football away. It's still going to be Wycombe.
They can't sap the life out of the fans or the soul.
Not yet. Okay. Anything else on that?
No.
No. Interesting topic, I thought.
Yeah, it's not really a topic I thought you'd ever be particularly too invested in, because
I couldn't
sometimes when they talk about it on TV, it always sounds a little bit wet, doesn't it? Because they talk about the soul and all of this, but it's true.
I was trying to work out why I get such a good kick out of United losing. Why should I? I don't live anywhere near the place. What's it got to do with me? I don't even worry too much about Premier League winners and losers too much. So why would Manchester United? It's because of that. It's because of that. The fight thing, the hate thing, the
rivalry,
jumping up and down behind the goals. And what I choose to dislike about Manchester City is the money. What I choose to dislike about United is the money. What I choose to love about Brentford going up is the lack of money. Okay, and I pick bits that I like and dislike. But I'll always find something to dislike about Manchester United. Don't matter what they did. They could have the best manager, best players. They could play the best football. I would still never like them.
Well, we have to appreciate that Bruno Fernandes is very good, but I do hate him.
Yeah.
I don't like him whatsoever.
Used to like Ronaldo until he went there. Right. Moving on to teams and their identity. I'm going to whip through this, because I'm looking at the clock already. Okay, Newcastle United. Identity, Yeah, they had an identity, and we've been taking the piss out of it since we started doing this, and that is Zombieland. In that they're not Sunderland and fail and fight to get up. They just exist, sort of. They exist dead, don't they? They just tick over. There's no life in Newcastle. And for 4 years, they've been trying to sell the club. For 4 years, a particular person has been trying to organise buying the club. And why couldn't they? Do you know why they couldn't sell it?
Not enough money?
No. Here we go then. Why? It was because of be-in digital piracy.
Oh, I see. Yes. Yeah,
you know this. Back in June 2017, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates all cut ties with Qatar. There was rivalry, fighting, blah, blah, blah. Everybody hated everybody, but generally all those around there hate Qatar. Okay? Qatar had a be-in digital deal with the Premier League along with other sports. And that brought in millions upon millions upon millions of money. But what happened was Saudi Arabia basically just nicked it. They set up this whole system. They nicked all their equipment that was in their country, and they set up this incredible whole big deal of stealing be-in. They renamed it under their own name, and they called it Be Out Q. Yeah, hilarious, yes. And they sold it to their own people, or gave it out free, one way or the other. And so, of course, that meant they weren't allowed to buy any football club in the Premier League, because they were pirating the Premier League and handing it out to their own people for nothing or under their own name. And the deal between Qatar and Premier League could not back Saudi Arabia buying anything from this country. And this has been going on for years. Well, that finally came to an end. And they said, all right, we'll stop our piracy. We'll now sell be-in in Saudi Arabia. And they said that, I believe, on Wednesday afternoon, Newcastle got sold. Okay?
Very quickly, yeah.
And can I just say, I'll stick this in at this point. It was sold Thursday, at 5:18. Can I just say at this right, human rights is not a part of the owners and directors test in this country. Okay, that's why it was all based on money that it was stopped for, nothing to do with human rights. There are no morals in football. Are there? Okay, I've just cut a bit out. I'm going to hold my pen up so I know where to find it. I'm going to hold that bit up, but I will ask this at the end. Human rights is not a part of the owners and directors test. When you sell a company, it has to go through this owners and directors test. All they check are legal things such as piracy, and how much money you got in the bank account and can you pay for it. It does not even look at the topic of human rights. And this is what Amnesty International have been jumping up and down about for ages. When Manchester City was won, you will find PSG being owned, I'll explain by who a bit later, and they're exactly the same. And now Newcastle, and I'll explain what they've been getting up to, that country, in just a moment. So That's why it can now be bought, because they've handed beIN back over. So who are they? The company that have bought Newcastle, and why? Well, Newcastle has just been bought by a guy called the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, or MBS as he is called. He owns 80%. They keep showing this woman on the TV having bought it. She's bought 10%, and there's a couple of blokes that bought another 10%. The couple of blokes already own a shopping centre in Newcastle, and they own something else known in Newcastle. Can't remember what it is. Racecourse. They own the racecourse, I think. But she is the face of this group that have bought it, and that's because, I'm not saying she's pretty, because I don't think she particularly is, but she's a better face than this Prince MBS, because he is not a pretty person. He wants it. He's going to own 80%, and there's a reason for that, and that is Saudi Arabia's fuels are going downhill. The world is not buying fuel as it did, and it won't be. And he sees this going out of the country. So how does he make his money? How does he keep the money in Saudi Arabia up? Simple. He needs to invest in different things. He's now diversifying his economy into other things such as sport, entertainment, tourism, and overseas investments. And Newcastle in sport are the best option he could find. He had looked at buying Liverpool, Kieran. I think they looked at Manchester United once upon a time, but they couldn't get near. And there's a reason I could give for that as well. Newcastle are the best available option for European good vibes flow. What he's trying to achieve is something called sports washing. He wants a nice face in Europe. And the best way to do that is come across all nice and pleasant and sit in the stands at Newcastle and make friends. And who's he made friends with? Well, I'll tell you what, you've got 96% of Newcastle fans love him already. Okay?
Yeah.
It's also worked for Manchester City and PSG, whose owners are similar to this guy. It's about misdirecting critical eyes and showing something positive about him and his country. That's what it's about. The PIF, which is what the 80% is, the Saudi Public Investment Fund. Okay. Now, the PIF are chaired by him. He's the chairman, this prince, the guy, the king of the country is the chairman, and the board are full of Saudi ministers. And they call it something else. You haven't just been bought by Saudi Arabia. They've given it a name, but that's who has bought you, Saudi Arabia. Okay. And you think, so what difference does that make? Well, start having a look up online about Amnesty International, etc. If you want to look at what countries still cut kids' arms off, hey, visit Saudi Arabia, because I wouldn't. Okay, they are still into child trafficking, as are the owners, I might say, of Manchester City and PSG. Now, we did something about Qatar and the World Cup and how many people are dying building the World Cup stadiums and how little we know about it in this country. If you travel to Netherlands or Belgium, you will hear about it all the time, because they are creating uproar in those countries. Over here, we put our heads under a carpet. We are allowing people to die to build the stadiums for the World Cup. Newcastle fans are cheering in the streets, and Alan Shearer is sitting on a fence at the moment, but I'm sure we know which way he'll go. And I think he'll forget, and he'll argue his way out about the murder that took place 3 years ago. and how they cut the guy up into little pieces in I think it was the Egyptian building. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it's worth a read. You'll see what Amnesty International thinks of Saudi Arabia. They think of the owners of PSG and the owners of Manchester City. We are being bought out. The Premier League will sell to anybody, regardless of human rights. If it had anything to do with human rights, they would not have been allowed to buy it. It is shocking. Read up on who has just bought Newcastle. And I'm sure they won't mind Newcastle because they want to win. City don't mind because they can win. PSG don't mind because they can win. Newcastle fans...
Will people argue that it's a separate situation to football, won't they?
They'll try and separate, but it isn't separating it, because the whole reason why he's bought it is sports washing, to make himself look presentable in Europe. That is what this is about, okay? The problem I have is I can sit here and waffle like this, but I don't complain about the UK government selling arms to Saudi Arabia. I don't argue about the UK racing industry that is owned by Saudi Arabia. And I don't complain about the replica shirts that we bought you as a child, where kids in China are mistreated to make. So who am I?
Everything that I buy in Primark.
Who am I to say about that? Okay, so that's both sides. Okay, so this Amanda Staveley fronts this group. Newcastle got sold for 300 million, so he got his money back, plus a £60 million profit, I might add. And what happens now? Well, apart from Newcastle thinking they're all right, because they are now 10 times richer than Manchester City. 10 times richer than Manchester City.
Do you reckon they'll turn into another Man City?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, they've already planned Europe, mate. Oh, yeah, they're going to win the league. No problem. Give it 5 years.
This is the thing. It's like, I mean, everything we've just discussed there, or you've said about there, is absolutely horrendous. And obviously less important on the football side of it. Everyone's having a bit of a laugh, like, oh, look how rich Newcastle are going to be. But they're another Man City. Yeah,
they're going to be another Manchester City. And I think they've just sold their identity, which is where we're getting to. I think they've just... What are Newcastle famous for? Apart from being sad, sort of... I tell you what, because we've always laughed at their supporters who have been 110% and not getting any returns. But now, are we going to find the little kids coming to my youth club down south wearing Newcastle shirts because they win everything?
Probably.
I mean, I think that's a shame. I think Newcastle is just walking out of its own town centre and becoming something else, something people will keep bringing up as well. And they're going to have to defend politics. And it should never have been sold. I think it's about time when the Premier League, the rules on selling clubs has to involve human rights. Has to. It can't not.
I mean, I think it's a bit absurd that it's not involved. I would have thought it's one of the basic things.
No, they can't say they can't. That's got nothing to do with it. And of course, now what we're talking about is they will have one thing stopping them, and that's financial fair play, of course, in football. But what does that mean to Newcastle and compared with Brighton? You know, nothing. And straight away, I made a slight error last week when I said about Bruce's next game being his 1,000th. It's this weekend. If he makes it.
They'll sack him afterwards, won't they, when he loses?
So after his 1,000th game.
He'll lose one. It'll be his 1,000th game, and they'll get rid.
Okay, I'm going to sort of miss this bit, other than say, do you know, if you add up every penny Newcastle have ever spent on a player, okay, it's 0.3% of what they're going to have in the next window. Okay. Manchester City have 3 billion. No, 30 billion. This lot have 300 billion to spend.
Isn't it? Well, it's quite obvious, but if you add up all of the Premier League teams together, you still don't get Newcastle.
No, they're the world's richest football club now. And the question is, which is going to be, I'll leave you to answer two, and then we'll probably pack up. But you can take as long as you like. Okay, which manager and why? Gerrard, Conte, Rodgers, Benitez, or Terzic? Is it Terzic? Never heard of him. I'll cross him off. Gerrard, Conte, Rodgers, or Benitez? Any of them?
The thing is, it's too early to go to Newcastle if you want to go there trying to win trophies.
5 years, I think.
I reckon they should give it to Frank. Give it to Lampard. Why not?
Not Gerrard.
The thing. They could. The problem is at the moment with Newcastle is realistically they're still in a relegation battle.
They need to get out. They've got one window, haven't they? They've got January.
Do you give Big Sam a call? I have no idea who you get at the moment because they still have to look further down the market as opposed to up here. Every name that's being linked to them is like high end. They're not there yet. Money wise, they might be, but they're still down here.
Can you remember the first decent player City got when they became rich?
Robinho. Do you remember Robinho? He came from Real Madrid for 30 mil. Right. The one who's being linked to Newcastle now is Coutinho, which honestly I could see.
Because that's what they need is when they get their first big player, others will follow. It's the first big one. But of course they can offer them any bloody wage they like, virtually, other than for this financial fair play thing. Will hold them back, in fact, which is rather funny. I have no idea who they should get now. What about players?
They've still got 5 years.
What do you reckon? Do they go for Liverpool guy that won't sign a contract?
What, Salah?
Yeah, Salah. What about Salah and Mr. Upfront Tottenham?
Kane.
Yeah, Salah and Kane by January.
Well, it's actually quite a sticky one, isn't it? Because they could buy Kane. They could, yeah. But do you go from having players that will get you 15th in the league to 8th and then to 1st, or do you go from 15th to 1st? I'm not sure you can go from 15th to 1st. So they have to do it gradually.
Yeah.
I would have thought, unless footballers are just weird and they will just sign for Newcastle. But I can't see them doing that. I can't see Mbappe going to Newcastle. It's going to be very interesting to see how they do it. Because Man City did it kind of gradually.
Yeah, they have said they're going to do it gradually. Because I did wonder about the manager. I mean, he's got to go. He's got to go.
Yeah.
They've got a guy in place that's been sat there for ages, a guy called Graham Jones, who I wonder might do for the ones finish the season off by a number of players that are a bit above average to save you in January.
Mm.
You know, they can pick sort of, 5, 6 players that are above what they've got enough to save you. And the reason, can I just say that they bought Newcastle? and didn't buy Manchester United or anything like that is because when the Super League happened, Manchester United fans were outside jumping up and down. Manchester United fans during takeovers produced United from Manchester football team and still get 1,000 fans rather than going to watch Manchester United, etc. The fans have their say at those clubs. Who did Newcastle have that was ever going to complain? Same as Manchester City. Did they have any fans that were ever going to complain about a human rights
quite a lot of
coming in?
fans.
You wouldn't.
Newcastle have a lot of fans, but they've been through such a crappy time with.
They're desperate for somebody with money.
Yeah.
As was Manchester City. Manchester United, on the other hand, the fans might have asked more questions. Wouldn't fall in love with somebody who's happy to murder people.
No. Well, no one should. And hopefully after it's all died down and you get your newspapers doing reports on Saudi Arabia, maybe then something might happen.
Just look it up online, Amnesty International, and tap in Saudi Arabia, or and look up the ones that own the Emirates, blah, blah, blah. Look it all up, everybody, and you will see that I am not making any of this up. And I think it is really sad. And I think English football has been sold out. And here we go again. We hated United. We hated City because it was just about money. Newcastle, you're just about money. But hey, here we go. Right, so predictions.
We love football.
We love football. It's just about money. Predictions, Kieran. Newcastle playing Tottenham, aren't they?
Are they?
On Monday?
We have. Yes, they are on Sunday. Newcastle Spurs.
Oh, good.
So, hat-trick for Kane, Spurs 3-0.
And then Bruce says goodbye, or does he get sacked?
He'll get sacked.
Okay.
He won't leave. I think he said he wouldn't leave either.
Okay. So he's going to get sacked on his 1,000th game.
Yeah. Brentford versus Chelsea, that could be quite a good game. Brentford at home as well.
Brentford have got that, haven't they?
I hope they do. I hope they get at least a point off Chelsea. That'd be ideal.
I'd love it. See, here we go. Here we go. Tribalism. Yeah. Hate the
Leicester versus United. We hope Leicester get points off United. Of
course we do. City, Burnley.
Burnley have got that in the bag.
Yeah. Good luck, Burnley. Yeah. They've been letting goals in. Shocking. They've always been, their identity has been a team with decent defence, but not anymore. Norwich, Brighton.
Well, Brighton should twat them, shouldn't they?
Yeah.
They've been very good, Brighton.
But there's two other games that I think are far more interesting, and the ones that nobody's going to watch, but I would say are the ones worth watching. Aston Villa, Wolves, and Southampton, Leeds.
Yeah, they could be very good.
I mean, Southampton, Leeds, both near the bottom. Southampton haven't won a game yet.
No.
Leeds have only won one.
Should be a lot of goals in that one.
But they're both attacking teams who have not quite finished them. I think that is going to be a cracker. Southampton Leeds is the one I'd watch. And of course, and Aston Villa Wolves is, well, got to favour Aston Villa, haven't we?
At home as well. Wolves haven't been that great, I don't think. They've kind of slumped a little bit.
And of course,
Liverpool playing Watford.
Yes.
Only difficult thing about that is that Watford have just sacked their manager.
Yes.
But
Oh dear.
Still shouldn't be a problem, I wouldn't have thought.
And Wycombe away at Doncaster. Well, I would imagine Wycombe now second in the table, 23 points. Doncaster are bottom of the table with 7. So they've let in, well, actually, goals-wise, they've scored 6.
They've won 2 of the last 4. They've won 2 of the last 4, but then in saying that, we're the most informed team in the league at the moment. So
they've won their 2 games at home. There's on average they score 1 at home and let 1 in. So it's 4-3.
Beat Milton Keynes as well, which is pretty good.
Yeah. But away we come 5th in the league out of 6 games. We've picked up 8 points and scored 7, let in 7. So that's got to be what you reckon, 2-1 to Wycombe.
You'd hope so.
You'd hope so. 2-1 to Wycombe. Okay, is there anything you want to pick out?
Not particularly.
Have you learned anything?
Saudi Arabia is a crap country.
Yeah, don't go there for your holidays.
No.
I saw all the Newcastle fans going around with a Saudi Arabian flag and dressing up as Arabs.
Yeah.
Jumping up and down for joy. Well, I hope they're proud of their club and their identity. That sounds really bitter, horrible and nasty, I know. But then I'm a hooligan.
I'm just. You'll bring your drum next time.
Yeah. I'll go up on the top of the hill. Kieran, would you like to say goodbye?
Bye.
And I'll say goodbye. And we'll make it more fun next time, maybe. You couldn't miss this topic, could we? Right. Okay. No. Right, we'll say goodbye then. And hope you can join us next week.